Hi, my name is Jen McClendon, and I'm your professor for Humanities 210. And this lecture is basically an overview of Humanities 210 in a nutshell. Before you view this, it would be a good idea to read the syllabus. If you haven't read it already, read it afterward. The syllabus and this lecture go together. The very first assignment that I'm going to be asking for from students is an introductory assignment. It's a short writing assignment. What I need you to do is tell me about yourself. Tell me about your goals, your academic plan, your history with humanities. Do you have a background in the arts? Do you have a background in sculpture, in clay making, in photography, humanities, drama? I personally have a background in comedy. You'll probably notice that at some point. The second minor writing assignment is going to be from the reading in chapter 3. I want you to interact with a work of art. I want you to pick one of the nudes or Kevin Carter's work, or really anything out of chapter 3, and I'd like you to interact with this art. Take a look at it and ask yourself what types of feelings are evoked from this work of art. Art is something that gets humans in touch with our humanity. I've made the case that good art produces good compassion, and ask ourselves how do we get in touch with our compassion through the arts? Some Gothic cathedrals give people a sense of awe. Some well-developed cities give people a sense of awe, a sense of smallness. But when you have that sense of smallness, you also have a sense of oneness with the world. And art gives us opportunities to experience the world in ways that are different from experiencing history or, say, a game of chess. There are 8 discussion boards. I'll be honest with you, some students do all of these discussion boards at once. Read the instructions to each discussion board and answer the questions. When you generate a post, I want you to give an example. Show me a picture. If you're writing on the architecture post about Brunelleschi's dome, get a picture of Brunelleschi's dome from the Commons, from the Wiki Commons, and talk about the dome. Talk about the contest that was used to choose the architect. Talk about the type of architecture. Talk about the use of the dome and how the dome really hadn't been used in 1,000 years. And each discussion board post should be about 2 paragraphs. This doesn't have to be 2 ornate paragraphs, but just talk about the work of art that you're discussing. And in order to get full credit, you have to reply to at least 1 student's post. If you have any trouble with the discussion boards, call me. I'm here to help. You'll get letters from me. You'll get emails from me that say I'm here to help. I really do mean that. There are 5 tests. The password for each test is HUMN210. These are open book tests, but don't be cavalier about this. Don't be fooled. An open book test is never a walk in the park. I've also sent out PowerPoint lectures that supplement the reading. Some of the PowerPoint lectures come from the textbook itself, and some of them are creations of my own. Use the PowerPoints and use the textbook and use the glossary in the textbook, but answer all of your questions in complete sentences on those tests. Some of the questions are multiple choice, and some of them are short answer, and some of them are long answer. Make sure that you give me complete answers. If I ask you what a soliloquy is, tell me what a soliloquy is by saying a soliloquy is an elongated dialogue with the audience, where the character appears to be talking into thin air, but they're really having a dialogue with the audience where the audience is silent. And answer the questions that you know first, and then go to the other questions. I want you to do well in this class. Your video presentation is your first major assignment. I want you to select a piece of art. Most people select a piece of painting, sculpture, or architecture, but if you're a film and video major or a journalism major, I would be willing to open this up to certain works of film. I'm not going to have people do Shrek or When Harry Met Sally, but I would be open to having people present on something like Pulp Fiction or The Shawshank Redemption or Schindler's List. I would be open to having people report on the new Lincoln movie, something that's a movie of significance. If I'm going to open this up out of the tactile arts and into film and cinema, it's going to have to be a significant film, something that either shocked the senses like Schindler's List or like Pulp Fiction for two very different reasons, or something that's monumental. And the current Lincoln film is fairly monumental. Um, when you, I'll be sending out a PowerPoint that accompanies this lecture, but put your work into historical context. Tell me what was going on in the world. If you do Brunelleschi's Dome, talk about the changes in thought from humanism, from the religious dogma of the Middle Ages, which was helpful to citizens before the Renaissance, to the change to humanism. Talk about the changes in architecture. Talk about the post-plague Medici expenditures that made the Renaissance possible. If you're going to be talking about Brunelleschi's Dome. Talk about the role that this particular piece plays in the world. If we're talking about a piece of expressionist art, why did expressionism come into being? Talk about who commissioned the art. If we're talking about Brunelleschi's Dome, was that commissioned by the Pope? Was it commissioned by the Medici family? Some popes were Medici, so sometimes that could be somewhat redundant. Reflect on the times that this represents. And then conclude by telling me why you particularly chose this. Did you choose this because you were an architecture major? Were you just interested in architecture? If you chose a piece of painting, if you chose, something by Cézanne, are you a fan of that, pre-cubist work? And then, and just conclude. Tell me about the piece. The Romeo and Juliet paper. This is the big writing assignment. Now, this is a writing-intensive course. This needs to be 5 to 10 pages double-spaced, and I don't want students to panic. Putting together 5 to 10 pages double-spaced is really, really easy. Not by saying really, really, really several times, but we do communicate we communicate with written word significantly. The use of social media has, on some levels, strengthened our verbal skills, but on other levels, weakened them. So use the strengthening aspect of that. Use MLA format. Make sure that you have a bibliography along with your paper. You'll lose 10 points without a bibliography. And without a bibliography, you're going to lose another 15 points because you have to have in-text citations. This is a college-level writing course. This is a writing-intensive college-level course. And you need to be citing your sources. Put the play into historical context. Talk about the meaning of Shakespeare. Talk about the role of Shakespeare as the bard of English literature. Talk about, summarize the play. Summarize Romeo and Juliet, what happened. We know of the star-crossed lovers. That's, kind of a tired old description, but it's it's used frequently by both teachers, critics, and students. Discuss meaning. What can we learn from this play? What does Romeo and Juliet really tell us? Why does forbidden love end tragically? Ideally, in this postmodern world that we're living in, we expect a happy ending. We expect a happy ending unless it's a true story. We expect a happy ending. So, is Romeo and Juliet a true story? Mark Twain once said that you can tell a true story because it ends in death. And is that true? Is that true? Is that why this ends in tragedy? I don't, I'm curious to know what you think. What have critics said about Shakespeare's play? What have critics said about Romeo and Juliet? When it comes to literary criticism, there's one name that kind of stands above all others, and that's Howard Bloom. Harold Bloom. What has Harold Bloom said about Romeo and Juliet? Why is Romeo and Juliet a timeless classic? What Harold Bloom said about Hamlet was that Hamlet was the paragon of human consciousness. And as a graduate student, I had to write 55 pages on why Hamlet was the paragon of human consciousness. And believe it or not, when you major in the humanities, that's a joyful event to write 55 pages. And then conclude. Conclude with by telling me what you've told me about Romeo and Juliet. If you need additional instruction, or if you'd like me to make another video that specifically deals with any one of these assignments, and I'm thinking that you may with Romeo and Juliet, just email me. Email me and I'll make that happen. I want you to do well in this class, and I want you to learn things in this class that will help you in other classes. The humanities help bring us into touch with our humanity. It helps bring us into touch with what does it mean to be human. we ask this question all the time in the humanities. What does it mean to be human in the postmodern age? What does it mean to be human in the technological age? What did it mean to be human after the A-bomb was dropped in World War II? What did it mean to be human after genocide? After we finally identified genocide as genocide, what did it mean to be human? One of the classes I teach for another university is a Holocaust Studies course. Let's ask ourselves some questions about that. But one of the other reasons that you take a humanities class is that the humanities, the arts, philosophy, drama, literature, these things, they help us teach. They help us teach ourselves, they help us learn, and they help us make better decisions. That's one of the reasons that a college graduate is a more valuable employee than a non-college graduate, in many cases, certainly not all cases, in the eyes of the employer. So I have to conclude because otherwise I won't be able to upload this lecture if it gets too long. But I'll be making more lectures, and I ask my students to call me, contact me, email me if you need my help. When I send you out those emails that say I'm here to help, I mean that I'm here to help. Thank you.